In this video, we are going to look at content, specifically analytics and examples of posts that have worked really well for me. So we are going to look at how content analytics are calculated, and then I'm going to show you how to access the analytics on your posts. And then I'm going to show you a few examples of various different types of content that have worked really well for me. Such examples are photographs, videos, web links, and then when I break the rules, so when I post non-work related stuff. So on this slide, I have some photographs of an event that I was very fortunate to speak at last year. And you can see underneath the picture, I have a red box around the number of views on this post. So before we go into any more detail on views, I just want to discuss how these data are calculated. So according to LinkedIn, the posts analytics, they expire after 2 months from the date of creation. So if you want to go back and look at previous posts, and you might be wondering why there's no analytics on those posts, if they're more than 2 months old, unfortunately the analytics just expire. Second point is that the analytics will only appear after your post has been viewed by at least 10 people or more. And then to protect privacy, the analytics aren't available for content that you share only with your connections when you use that setting or in LinkedIn groups. And then the analytics breakdown, they display non-unique views. So what that means is that if your friend or your colleague looks at that post 10 times, it'll count 10 views. It doesn't matter if the same person is looking at it because it only values non-unique views. And then lastly, when we come to video, when you see the views on your video, that person has to have watched your video for at least 3 seconds or more for that to count as a view. So sometimes when people are looking at their content and the content was only posted last week and there's 0 views on it, unfortunately your content hasn't been viewed by anybody, and that's why the views haven't kicked in. So just be a little bit mindful of that. But back to this slide. So the photographs that I posted when I spoke at an event last year, and underneath you can see I've got a couple of thousand views. So when you click on those views, and they're clickable, so just hover your mouse over the number and click, and it'll bring you to another screen where it will show you data, and it'll break down the data into 3 elements. So the first element is the companies that have viewed your post. So really this is people working in companies. So they can't show you the people's names, but they can show you the companies that they work for. And then the middle column are the job titles of these people. Now again, they can't show you the exact job titles, so they kind of water the job titles down, they kind of filter them down to maintain people's privacy. But it will still give you a really good indication of the types of people, the types of job titles who are looking at your content. And then the last part is location. So it will show you the location of the people who are viewing your content. And that's always really interesting because you might think it may only stay within like your country or your city, but it actually doesn't. Like it shows how much of a global platform LinkedIn truly is, because looking at your analytics on your posts, you can see just how far and wide your content goes to. So a couple of things need to be mindful here. So when we look at the first column, the companies who are looking at your content, really analyze that closely. And we're always looking for alignment. So back with our marketing foundations, who are the types of companies that you're trying to target? And looking at this data on your posts, is your content landing in front of the right people in the right companies? And this is probably one of the best ways to see tangibly if we have a gap. So do we have a gap in who we would like to target, and then who are we actually targeting? And how do we close that gap? And the best way we can close that gap is through actively going out there, using the search tool, finding people in the companies we want to be connected with, and sending them a connection request. But then on top of that, having really good content, relevant content that gives them really interesting information, or build your own credibility by showing how much of an industry expert that you are. So that's what the first column can tell us. The second column is pretty similar, so it's job title. So again, who are the types of people that you're trying to influence? Who are your key decision makers? And look at the list of people who are looking at your content and try to decide, are those the type of people that you want to influence or not? And if you're getting non-relevant job titles for what you're selling, your product or your service, same thing as the companies, you have to use your search tool, find the job titles, find the people that you want to connect with, who you can influence, and send them a connection request. And then if your content is good enough, you'll engage them, maybe not immediately, but many drops make a river, so over time you'll engage them. And then the last column for location, it's really interesting. It doesn't really make much of a difference to me, only to show how far and wide my content goes. But it's still a really interesting statistic, but it probably doesn't impact on your overall marketing strategy. But keep an eye on it at the same time.